Smile. Breathe. And just remember, it's too late to get out of it, so you might as well go on.
Do you ever get the feeling that people are incapable of not caring?
You know, I'm screwed up and average enough that I could write a song that'll live on forever. And then after that, it don't matter. I am the king of gay chickens.
No, seriously, what the fuck?
Honestly, you're in a memory in your subconscious.
Fuck! Seriously?
I don't know what you've been told, little lady, but the rest of us start at 9. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Good morning.
Hey, Benny! Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river!
Is it gonna be like this all the time?
I'm doing a show, Isaac. I'm sick of talking about it, but I'm doing a show.
Well, in several weeks you won't have to talk about it anymore because it'll have happened.
Yeah.
Because it's so close.
It is a bit bloody close.
You
2
ready?
weeks.
You ready?
It's called Ravenous, all caps. I started doing that.
Why is that necessary?
Ravenous, all caps.
Because if you type it in without the caps,
You
something
will-
else is going to come
You'll
up.
never get
definitely,
there.
yeah.
You'll never find it if you don't do all caps. I'm doing a stand-up comedy show, everyone. It's called Ravenous, all caps.
Sweet.
I should have put that in the name. I'll do
You
that
should.
one day. And if you're in Brisbane on September 11th, if you have any big September 11th plans, put them on hold. You should come down to the Good Chat Comedy Club on Caxton Street and see my brand new show, the world premiere.
All new content.
All new
content for the people who come to see the show that haven't seen you before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've done one 1 hour show before. This is a completely new hour, so
Badass.
it's new content in that regard. Not that I even call it content though, because content is just like a demeaning word for what used to be called, I don't know, maybe art. Oh. All new art.
Prose.
New art.
New prose.
New art dropping soon. And then later that same week with the Sydney Fringe Comedy. That's what it's called. There's no the. I'm at Sydney Fringe Comedy at the Factory Theatre.
Comedy festival? Do they have
No.
festival? It's just fringe comedy.
Yeah, I think it's just called the Sydney Fringe.
Okay. Because
And
putting the
then
word comedy after
Within
is-
it, and then Sydney Fringe Comedy is like its own sort of mini, somewhat autonomous unit within it.
It just
It's like Kurdistan.
It feels weird to say that.
Sydney Fringe Comedy.
Yeah, and just end on the word comedy.
I'm at Sydney Fringe Comedy, Isaac. And that's the truth. That's the truth of the matter. You can't say I'm not.
Well, you're not there yet, but it's happening.
Yeah.
The week of.
So...
That's the Thursday, Friday.
Oh, and there's a promo code now as well.
Yes.
For the Brisbane show. You can use the promo code HUNGRY for 20% off.
Is that because the name of the show is Ravenous in caps?
Yeah.
Is the promo code also in caps? Or
You
is
know...
it, like, not case specific?
The way they sent it to me, it is all caps.
Okay.
I don't know if it's necessary or not, and I've left that to people to figure out. I guess if it
that's a
says
mystery people can understand
promo
for
code
themselves.
rejected, if they can't figure out to do all caps, I don't want them there. You know, that's a little barrier to entry.
There is a percentage of the world who would not know to try that.
Yeah, and that's
A hefty percentage.
you reckon?
I do. My parents wouldn't try that.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to weed that shit out,
Yeah.
Isaac. Oh, parents coming.
I'm saying rude things.
Yeah.
I don't want parents to see that.
My parents are coming. You know what my mum said, and I'm going to bring this up in the show.
Nice.
Because, like my parents are very supportive, but you also know how parents just have that sort of innate ability to really take the wind out of your sails.
Sure.
When I posted, I've got a promo code for the show. It's going to be great. That's like in the Good Chat, like the festival organizers in their email, they say, we strongly encourage the use of promo codes. It's a really good way to market the show and just like give it an extra bump and and move some tickets. I thought about it. I see other shows doing it. All these other shows seem to have a code. I'm like, okay, fine. So 2 weeks out, I get the promo code. I push it out. And I saw my mum later that day. And she goes, I saw you put out a promo code for your show.
After we bought tickets.
And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, I wouldn't have done that. I go, oh, no? She goes, no. Makes you seem desperate. It's like, oh, gee, thanks. So I forgot about all your years as a promotional agent in the West End. I should have run this by you first, I now realise.
You know what, Mum? I am desperate.
Yeah. Look, two things can be true at once, okay, Mum? Yes, I am desperate, but B, this doesn't make me seem desperate, okay? It's true I am desperate, but I am actually very successfully masking that, okay? And I resent the suggestion that this has blown my cover.
Just because I may be desperate doesn't mean you have to point it out.
Yeah.
And why are we in the middle of the shops while you're doing this?
Yeah, and why am I at the shops with you? We don't need to do this anymore. I go to the shops by myself.
But she helps you get your fabric softener still, right?
Well, I still call her to ask which one to get, obviously.
Respect. I actually often call my mother when I'm cooking things
Oh, yeah.
and trying something new and be like, hey, I may have fucked this up. How should I fix that? And she'll be like, I'll try this. I'm like, okay.
What does she suggest?
Like if I'm trying to make like a sauce of some kind, but it's way too watery, she'll offer other
Flour.
options for
Done.
thickening it up.
Flour.
If I put too much flour in, you're not going to add
Scoop
water.
it out. Scoop it
You
out.
can't scoop it out.
Yeah. You put it all through a strainer.
fix that
Then you get the flour out.
Or if I have
You do a
like,
reduction. You do a reduction, and then
A reduction.
the flour rises to the top, and you scoop that out.
I made
See, this is why I don't call my mum, because I know the answers.
about everything.
Well, no, mostly flour-related stuff. You got a
that's-
question about flour, mate? Hit me.
Will do.
Hit me. Hit me.
Next time.
Hit me.
Next time I'm baking, you'll receive a text message.
Okay.
Have you ever put vanilla just in a little ramekin in your oven, put a bit of vanilla essence in, and then bake that for about 30 minutes? Not too hot, just bake it. And then you turn it off and leave it there. And then you have people over. Because it makes your house smell like you made cookies that day. It's amazing. It's life-changing, actually.
Well, then don't you just have a whole evening of people thinking they're going to get cookies?
No, it just makes it smell nice. Because you cooked something else or you've got dinner or whatever planned.
But there's no cookies.
But there's no cookies. You don't have to. Or if you ever have like a house
That's
inspection.
torture.
Is it?
Isaac, if I ever come around your fucking house
And you smell cookies.
and I'm smelling delicious, freshly baked cookies the entire night, and none appear, and it's all just a facade, I'm never coming back.
Maybe that could be a ploy though. To get people to love your house so much.
True.
And then when they never come back again, they just pine for those cookies that they never got.
I think that's a cruel thing to do.
I just like the smell of vanilla. I have done that several times.
Really?
Yeah, not necessarily for guests, just for me sometimes. Just like, I want to smell good right now. Don't need to bake. Just bake some vanilla.
You don't want to smell good. You want to smell good things.
Yeah, I want to smell
in
good.
the world.
I want to smell goodness.
Oh, okay, so I didn't realize we were doing caveman talk. Me want to smell good. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Exceptional Thieves, I guess. This is a podcast where Isaac and I review and rewrite movies. I'm Sam.
Isaac.
And this is the latest episode of Turns of Frase, our special series, where we're watching and reviewing the entire filmography of the one and only Brendan Fraser, the king of film.
Is it really a special series?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It is longer than the other special series that we've done, is
No,
it not?
our show still has its core spine of see a movie and talk about it for a bit. That's still what we do.
Oh, okay.
That's what we do. But every so often, we take a break from that for about 3 years and just do a quick trip.
Yeah,
down
special,
someone's filmography.
limited series.
Yeah. Yeah. That was how this started. When we started with Daniel Craig, I was like, oh, we'll do Daniel Craig for a bit, then we'll move on. Here we fucking are.
You seen any other movies lately?
Oh, boy, have I.
I haven't seen much.
Yeah, I haven't seen much. Still, I guess, still cooling down from Barbenheimer season.
Respect.
Did you see that? Look, it's come to everyone's attention that with the whole Barbenheimer thing, memes, etc., we all may have gotten a little bit carried away, and we may have gone a little bit far with it. So the Barbie Japan account, Twitter account, basically had to tweet out, be like, we don't think all these pictures of Barbie next to nuclear explosions should really be tweeted out like by the movie studio, should they? Like the movie studio like got on board with it.
Seriously?
Like, and you can see how it happened, like it's a cross promotional thing, but they like we all just like lost touch with what it was we were actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, probably, and so apparently people in Japan started doing parodies of it, putting Barbie next to like 9/11 imagery and stuff. That's not so fucking fun now, is it? Yeah, so apologies if we have seemed flippant about the nuclear bombing of Japan in World War II at any point. I don't think we have. I think we've really foregrounded the seriousness of the whole thing. That was really the foundation of our critique of Christopher Nolan's effort. Saw Asteroid City.
Oh, is it out yet?
Yeah, it's out yet, man.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. I really don't know sometimes. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty good.
In terms of like Wes Anderson good, is it like Grand Budapest good or?
I think Grand Budapest is still number one.
Mm.
My favorite is Darjeeling Limited, but
my favorite is Moonrise Kingdom.
But I think Grand Budapest is probably his best film and the best.
I do agree,
because I think it's the best expression of what his style is. That's still sort of, but there's different kinds of characters in it, and Ralph Fiennes is able to be a character.
The multiple storylines work very well in that film specifically.
Yeah, and all the asides and all the little weird things, they all sort of add and build on the central thing. This one, it's still very good. I love Wes Anderson, so I'll watch anything. So I'm having a good time pretty much regardless. But the thing I have sort of noticed with it more again with this one is his style, I think, becomes a bit oppressive to the actors because it becomes such a thing that like every big actor of all time is in each of these movies.
Well, this one's got so many of them.
So many of them, like to an absurd, like distracting degree.
Because everyone wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, and they're all amazing performers that can do amazing things, but they're all the same kind of person because they're all playing this one central Wes Anderson type.
Yeah, it's very evident how they stand still.
Yeah,
for so much. Like there's very little natural movement in anybody, so like that can very much just take away from a performance.
So there's just ways in which I feel like the stylization of it is kind of holding it back from what its full potential might have been, especially with all of these actors in the same place, where it can still be very much a Wes Anderson movie, but if you just gave them all like 10-15% more room to move in terms of their characterization. And I think he had a bunch of subplots that are kind of, they're really engaging, and they're obviously, some of the world's best actors, but they don't really go anywhere. And so I think, but still great.
Cool.
I
will watch it.
regardless.
I didn't overly enjoy The French Dispatch.
No, I only saw it one time. I mean, it's very different. That's like the
It is
full extent. He's like, I'm not even doing movies anymore. Yes. I'm just doing little things.
Vignettes.
I'm doing vignettes, mate. He's doing another vignettes. He's got like a 37-minute thing coming out on Netflix next year, which is more vignettes.
He directed.
We know we're saying it wrong, by the way. Richard Ayoade is in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Obvious choice.
Did you see the race car thing?
Gran Turismo.
No. Oh. Wes Anderson. It's like, I think it's an ad for Ferrari or something. Oh, and it's got Jason Schwartzman just crashes his car in a little town and then has dinner.
All right, no.
And it's just a short film on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Crazy good.
Okay.
And it's like, it's loose. It's not like...
Is it it's Wes Anderson directed?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's just an extended commercial for something Italian. It's either Lamborghini or Ferrari or something.
Car crashes
or Prada.
Yeah.
But it's
Ask
cool.
a doctor if car crashes are right for you.
Recommend.
Speaking of car crashes, I know we've talked about Gran Turismo a weird amount for a film neither of us have seen and we're not going to. I only recently, despite having seen that trailer a million times, it's like its title is Gran Turismo based on a true story.
Oh, seriously?
That's the title of the movie.
Oof. I mean, that's better than just calling it Gran Turismo.
I don't think it is. We all know what Gran Turismo is, basically.
Yeah, it's a race and then a video game, but mostly a video game.
And if you don't know what Gran Turismo is, based on a true story isn't going to make you go see it. You're like, I don't know what those words are, but I love the truth. So I'm down.
How based on a true story, though? Like, how?
I don't know.
Is it like Pearl Harbor based on a true story? Because that movie's based on a true story. But that movie's also a load of bullshit.
It is. It is a load of bullshit. Saw a fantastic movie on Netflix called They Cloned Tyrone.
Okay.
Heard of this?
I think I've seen the thingy for it.
Yeah.
What's They Clone Tyrone about? Do they clone Tyrone?
Well, I hadn't heard one thing about it until it just popped up on Netflix.
Cool.
And it's bloody John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, and Tyrone Paris as this brilliant trio.
Awesome.
And they're in this like neighborhood in America, lots of crime. Jamie Foxx is a pimp in the most like stereotypical way he could possibly be. John Boyega, I think the character is like a low-level drug dealer in it, but it's actually a comedy sci-fi horror.
That's
basically
cool.
with a very kind of like obviously very like culturally different.
Is it set now?
I think it's doing a little bit of a
like Shaft, how it could be set at any point in time.
Yeah, like someone will have a phone, but then people's clothes are really dated and stuff. So it's just sort of kind of everywhere.
Cool.
And yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much because there are spoilers and it has a really interesting plot line.
Dude,
but yeah, it's got bits of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and then like it's very culturally different from, but it feels kind of Edgar Wrighty. Like it's got in the way like Shaun of the Dead is a zombie movie. Mm-hmm. This is like a cloning sci-fi horror comedy, very very much a comedy. And those three, the main trio are just brilliant together, fucking hilarious, and very emotionally impactful as well. Like it's really really funny, good action, and a great emotional storyline through it as well that John Boyega just sells the shit out of. So big recommend.
John Boyega topic, they're making a sequel to Attack the Block.
Oh, great.
I loved that film.
Attack the Blocks.
Attack the Block.
Yeah, I hope it's something better.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Or Attack the Next Block. Over. Just the next one, the next one across the street.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like an obvious thing. Can't believe that hasn't happened yet.
Well, I don't know if it was like financially crazy when it came out. I don't know if it made them a lot of money. It's just got its sweet cult following. Yeah. And launched John Boyega into everybody's hearts and minds.
Yeah, absolutely. To this day.
What are we talking about?
So one more thing. So we saw... So Emma and I went on a trip to Harvey Bay.
A long trip.
As you may know. To go whale watching.
Nice.
Saw some bloody whales, mate. I could have punched a whale in the face if I wanted to. Didn't want to, didn't do it. But that's how close
For a second,
it
it sounded like you wanted to...
If the whale had tried anything...
you could have taken it.
I was within reach, you know. I'd have laid...
if he got mouthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he tried to Moby Dick us. Is that something? It was at the movies in Harvey Bay. For anyone who has no idea what we're talking about, this is a town like 3 hours north of where we are, and went to the movies there. Oh, great! Like little like off-brand cinema.
The best kind.
Like the physical letters put into the sign outside to say what movies are on. Yeah,
what'd you see?
Real old school. That's where we saw Asteroid City.
Okay, cool.
They do like airport announcements in the lobby, like ding, ding, ding. Cinema 4 is now. What's going on?
That's cool.
We were the only people in the cinema, but that in one part of the lobby they had all these old movie posters, and that's where I got the photo with the Airheads poster and the Bedazzled poster. 2 Brendan Fraser posters
next to each other,
right next to each other. I was like, what a time to be alive. And you know, and that picture's gained a lot of traction.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we have some new listeners from that picture.
Nice.
Because I posted it in the Brendan Fraser Fans 2.0
nice.
Facebook group.
I want to know what happened to 1.0.
You know, I was listening to a podcast
talked about it?
Yeah, it was like the administrator of it was on there. And yeah, I forget the details, but there was some drama with, like, I don't
Somebody
know.
did something wrong.
Yeah, well, I don't know if like their culture got bad, or maybe someone just like the administrator disappeared and they lost the
Access to
to it, so they just had to make a new one. So yeah, 85,000 members in this. So I guess ratio-wise, it's not that impressive that we got 66 likes, but still, I think that's pretty good.
That's a lot of fans.
People love this picture. So hello to anyone who's here from the Harvey Bay photo. It was a real cultural moment, you know, in a lot of ways.
It defines this year.
In a lot of ways. That's one of the things we're going to look back on. Like, what happened this year? That. Oh, yeah, while we were in Harvey Bay, we were like, what's a whale movie? Watched In the Heart of the Sea. Did you ever see that?
I have.
With all the Avengers in it?
Yeah.
I see why that movie didn't do very well.
Was Cillian Murphy in that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not overly entertaining.
Well, here's the problem with In the Heart of the Sea, right?
There are many. It's not Moby Dick.
It's not Moby Dick. This film is based on the true story of what if whale decided it had enough and destroyed a boat, kind of like they're doing again recently. And I was like, all our heroes in this are trying to do something that we all think is evil, and are right to think so, and also turns out in the actuality of doing it is also incredibly disgusting. Like when you have to carve up a whale on a ship, it's one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen put to screen. And so it's kind of, it was interesting and kind of like a dramatized documentary of a true story. If it wasn't hashtag based on a true story, much like Gran Turismo is, then it would be...
If it was
would just
released
have
as
nothing.
In the Heart of the Sea, based on a true story.
That might have helped it. I don't know.
But then it could have been released just straight onto like Discovery Channel.
That's
This
where
is a
it should have
dramatic
been
reenactment.
released. Yeah.
An extremely dramatic reenactment.
Yeah. Instead, they released it in 2015 in cinemas. And it does have Chris Hemsworth in it, but it turns out Chris Hemsworth can't do an American accent as well.
Is that a surprise?
Well, I
I've
realized
seen him try many times.
Well, I realize I don't think I've seen him try to do it any other times. That's why it's great he's got Jake Straction where he can just be Australian.
Yeah,
And good for him. He can do an English accent very well.
he can.
But
But that's basically just a more proper Australian accent.
it's a shorter walk, isn't it?
It's a much shorter walk.
Linguistically and historically, but not geographically. It'll be a longer walk, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other one
there's one ocean.
the other one
between
would be a
us.
swim, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You have to swim there. Anyway, that's enough about the planet Earth. We... This is some people's favourite bit, Isaac, as I've established.
So we should drag it on as long as
So
we
for
can.
some people are about to go, that's it, episode over. We're talking about the Scout.
What if we
ladies and
surprise them and like talk about what we're talking about for a minute and then tangent for 20 minutes right now? We're talking about the Scout, 1994.
Well, I would say that to anyone who does turn off the episode
We're
when
going
we
to
start
tangent.
talking about the movie, you have no idea how many fucking tangents you're missing out on, bro. You think we're just going to talk about the Scout, nothing but the Scout now? We are going to wind all over the place. We're
barely going to talk about the film.
anyone who wants to talk about the Scout is going to be irritated beyond belief by the conversation that's about to follow. So, don't dip out now. Having said that, I should find out how long people have to listen for it to count as a listen. And then we just talk bullshit till we hit that time. And they're like, that's fine, you can stop. We got the numbers. We got them. It's all about the numbers. Getting our numbers up. Get our numbers up, get our money up.
Those numbers. You got to do that, whatever.
You doing Matthew McConaughey?
I was attempting it.
Okay.
That hurt.
Yeah. How's those broken ribs going?
Yeah, great.
Your body is...
I treat it wonderfully.
No, it's breaking down. It's chickens are coming home to roost when it comes to your body. How's that?
We're talking about the Scout.
We're talking about the Scout, 1994 movie. And we're back in Brendan Fraser movie territory.
This is a
after last
Brendan
week.
Fraser movie.
Yeah. Or is it an Albert Brooks movie? I think that's one of the central questions we have to address.
Well, they're lead characters.
But it's called The Scout.
It is called the Scout.
It's not called The Man What Was Good at Baseball.
It should.
It's
Let's get that
called-
off the bat first.
Yeah, as
The
it
movie-
were. No pun intended. Hey. Sorry.
Should have been about Brendan's character. Like, I did not like this movie.
No, I didn't really
because
like
of
it
the way
either.
it could have been fine.
Yeah, well,
I don't
almost
mind Albert
anything.
Brooks. I love listening to Albert Brooks' voice because it's you just listening to Dory the whole time because he's
All right.
Marlon in
I
Finding
I
Nemo.
only know Albert Brooks from his role in Drive. Like that's literally the only reference point I have for him. I know he's done all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's an intense reference point to go to.
he's just and like
For
I'm
him
sorry,
to do just like bumbling comedy shit.
is it a lot of bumbling comedy? Because like, am I crazy for this? He just feels so villain coded.
Yeah.
In
well,
everything-
in this,
in everything he does and
across
says.
quite like this is supposed to be funny,
It is supposed to be funny,
but I did not find one part of this film funny.
no, and yeah, it's confusing because he's in so many ways the protagonist of it, but
He's also a terrible person.
in almost every version of this story, he is a villain because he, you know, you're exploiting the singer or sport, you know, the young talented person gets exploited by the agent character.
In what the film should have been,
Yeah.
he is a respectable father figure. He's supposed to become that. That's supposed to be that, like, from what it is, he is supposed to become that for the child who's been abandoned by his family or whatever
Yeah.
happened to Brendan Fraser's
But
character.
Isaac, what he does
He does
in
not.
the last 5 minutes of the film.
Not even
he-
that.
he
At
does
that
one-
point, he's still being a fucking dickhead.
He does one kind of good fatherly thing, and that's all it takes for
To make
all of Brendan Fraser's just
disturbing.
mind obliterating trauma to be kind of filed away, and so we can get on with the much more important
least-
business of baseball.
Temporarily filed away.
Yeah. So this is a movie about a scout for baseball. That's why I'm wearing my baseball hat
Yeah.
today.
You're looking
Got my
great.
New York Yankees hat. Bought it in Times Square, baby.
Wow.
Yeah, this isn't just like some eBay thing. So expensive, and it's just like nothing. And he's a scout who's, I guess, meant to be kind of down on his luck.
He's a scout who works for the Yankees, and he's had a couple of bad picks.
Yeah, because he keeps
And-
picking people like Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, he picks
I do
people
not
who he
care
sees
for.
play great baseball in their hometowns or wherever,
Yeah.
but for some reason get nervous playing the same thing.
And I guess,
But also,
and that is a pattern he does not break in this film, I guess.
baseball though, you have to do like months and months of training before you even like
Well,
get to the major leagues.
not if you're Brendan Fraser, you don't.
But like,
He's King Kong, baby.
you don't just grab a guy from Iowa, just some random really Christian dude from Iowa, and be like, next week you're playing for the Yankees. That's not how that. It doesn't like it can't work
Doesn't
like
it?
that. He can scout them, and then they go into entry teams and shit,
Yeah.
and then they have to work their way up to that crap. You don't just the scout doesn't just grab a teenager and be like, stop going to school,
Yeah.
come play for the Yankees.
There's lots of great baseball players love Jesus as well. You'll be fine. Get in there.
But also, he has no ability to talk to someone like they are a human.
Well, I mean,
Because in the Scout's life, clearly, he is the main character. And that is where he falls short as a person.
as in he feels like he's the most important person rather
He feels
than
like
the
everything is
baseball
about
players.
him
Well,
for the whole film.
I mean, he's a baseball scout. And the whole movie he's doing baseball scouting and just moving heaven and fucking earth to get one person to go in and play some baseball. That's all he's trying to do.
But we don't get to see that struggle. He mentions that he's
Well,
struggling
no,
to do
I
it.
think that's his struggle on because when he's just trying to convince Brendan Fraser, who plays Steve Nebraska,
Great name.
great name, can't criticize that. He's trying to convince Steve Nebraska to do baseball the whole time, but he's not even really. He only the first half of the movie. They're just kind of hanging out, and he's trying to convince everyone else that Steve Nebraska is not out of his mind, which he clearly is. And then at the end, suddenly, Steve Nebraska maybe doesn't want to do baseball because he's nervous.
Yep.
Okay, let's slow down.
Just to start,
Yeah,
I did not like the movie.
No, I did not like this movie either. I think we're going to get tangled up talking about the characters because the two main characters, I think, are Albert Brooks's character, Al Piccolo. Al Piccolo is a very simple character who doesn't change.
Yep.
Except maybe slightly at the end.
In the last line of dialogue.
But all his conflict is just like an external problem he's trying to solve. He doesn't have anything personally he's wrestling with. And Steve Nebraska's character, I think, is quite incoherent in the way it's written.
He has it's written as though he has so many interpersonal demons, but none of them are ever brought to light. They all exist.
Yeah.
And we're told that they exist, but not one of them is dealt with in the course of the film.
Yeah. I think maybe let's just go through the plot. And I think then each of these things will come out in time. Sure. I don't know.
Movie opens.
This movie rattled around for a long time, had a lot of production. It was in sort of production hell for a while. There was lots of different versions of it. There were like 8 different versions apparently. And I think
of the script?
Yeah.
And they chose this one?
Well, you
choose what's going to sell.
You go to war with the army you have, Isaac. As the great Donald Rumsfeld once said.
Albert Brooks read 8 versions and was like, this one has me saying the most things.
Well, he actually came on as a writer for the final version. He's credited as a writer on this. And I think he tried to sort of ground it a little bit more in some of its comedy. And he it's very explicit that he wanted it to have a bit more of a sedate ending and it not be with Steve Nebraska doing the best baseball anyone's ever done. And he says the version he worked on didn't end like Rocky with that bullshit big ending. But the studio forced them to change the ending to be a Rocky, basically.
Well, the first Rocky movie ends with him losing, and that is so cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why Rocky is so good.
But I feel like your sort of classic, like the stereotypical Rocky ending is fist in air.
Adrian, I did it.
It's fist in air. So you see why that's where that phrase came from. Michael Ritchie directed it. Don't know who that is really.
It's Guy's brother.
Yeah, it's not though, is it?
His lame older brother.
Guy Ritchie snuck a movie out. Did you hear about that? The Covenant?
Yeah, I saw it.
Really? At the movies?
No,
it's on Prime.
It's on one of the services. Yeah,
you have Prime. I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
Because you've sold out to Bezos.
I have. I sold out to Bezos before we started this podcast, and then we found a nemesis.
That's a long relationship. Yeah,
it's not bad.
Yeah, it looked all right.
But we like ourselves a little bit of Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? He's got big eyes, that guy.
He does have big eyes,
you can
doesn't
lose yourself in them.
Yeah. Like a little Pixar man.
Yeah.
So Al Piccolo.
Not a Pixar man.
Played by
regular small eyes.
Albert Brooks.
Of Albert Brooks.
Who you might know from Drive.
And the voice of Marlin, Nemo's father.
Those are his two big things. Albert Brooks' real name, Einstein.
Albert Einstein Brooks? Or Einstein Brooks?
Oh, good question, actually. What was his actual birth name?
Albert Brooks.
His real name is Albert Einstein.
Oh, that's crazy.
Born Albert Lawrence Einstein.
Oh, that's amazing.
And his brother, famous actor Bob Einstein, didn't change his name.
I don't think he needed to.
Yeah, but...
Because Albert wouldn't have been able to get a SAG membership with the same name as someone else who had one.
That is fucked.
Assuming Albert Einstein had a SAG membership.
What, the physicist?
Yeah. But you can't join like the Screen Actors Guild with the same name as somebody else.
Oh, yeah. That's how we got David Walliams.
What was his original name? Gary?
Yeah. So he's a scout, right? That's the film. The film's the scout.
He's
That's
a
the film.
scout,
what
yeah.
it is.
Film opens.
Film opens.
Scout
Boy, does it.
going to a baseball game.
Talking with his bros at the game, talking with other scouts. They never come back, do they? His
No.
scout buddies?
Those ones don't.
Needed some other scouts in there. Anyway, he finds skinny young Michael Rappaport. Do you say the T?
I don't think you have to,
I think
but it's more fun to do it.
okay, it's not Rappaport.
I think it's supposed to be
Like
Rappaport.
Steve Colbert.
Colbert.
I'll just tail off every time I say it, so it's unclear whether I said the T.
Nice.
All right. So he finds skinny young Michael Rappaport, gets invited over to his house for dinner, and so here it's kind of being established.
He gets himself invited.
Yeah, he
Like,
weasels his way in, like a little weaselly
the
man.
other scouts that are at the game are like, yeah, he's a really great ball player, but we all understand that he's too young. He's just a freshman and wants to
Yeah.
finish college before we can scout him. So like we're here just to watch him, like confirm that he's really great. That's cool. We're going to be respectful and let him get an education
Yeah.
and grow into a man,
As-
and then we'll get him to play some baseball for us.
As basic human ethics dictates.
Not for Albert fucking Brooks.
Not for old Einstein
Al
over here.
Capone over here.
Yeah.
He goes and approaches the presumably 17-year-old kid and was like, "Hey man, can I come to your house for dinner?
Yeah.
Let me meet your parents.
Yeah.
I'll dress up as a religious dude for you."
Yeah. He puts a cross on, and he goes around to their very Catholic house for dinner. And just keeps talking about how, like, it's crazy how many baseball players are also
Super
religious, and also
we have that same picture of Jesus.
and also get a great education.
It's such a great likeness. I loved that line. It's such a great likeness.
Oh, about Jesus.
About the picture of Jesus.
Oh, that's great. There's a couple of good lines
Such a
in
great
there.
likeness.
So I guess what's being established here is,
He's a douche.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, this is all villain behavior.
Uh-huh.
But like, so his skill set isn't so much in identifying good baseball players. It's
manipulating
It's in
their
the
families.
con.
Exactly. It's the con. He's a con man.
He's a con man in terms of he gets an edge on his competition by doing stuff other people aren't willing to do. Which isn't really what the rest of the film is about, because I think when he
it's
finds,
not what the rest of the film's supposed to be about, or is like,
Well,
it shouldn't be.
I think when he finds Steve Nebraska and brings him in to be a big famous baseball player, yes, he is being somewhat dismissive towards his mental health and maybe pushing him into something he shouldn't do. But I just don't think what he actually does on screen is quite exploitative enough
To be the villain.
for it to be kind of. But also, he shouldn't be the villain because he's the main character of the movie.
I mean, it's not exploitative. It's more neglectful.
Yeah.
Like he is made to know he's told explicitly that this person he's found is unstable
Yeah.
and mentally a little unhealthy.
He also sees it with his eyes, along with the rest of the world, because of all the
And
crazy stuff he
chooses
does.
To both ignore it, make shit up, just
Yeah.
push him into situations that are not good for him. Like so much
Yeah, I guess
negative shit. Like
it is bad.
he's not a good character.
No,
He's not a good dude. And he's the main character. He's the hero of the story.
yeah, and it doesn't.
It should have been like the Elvis movie where Tom Hanks's character is clearly the villain, but he's the main character of this film. He's like narrating it. He finds Elvis. He brings Elvis to the world.
Yeah, well,
the
yeah,
world
kind
falls
of.
in love with Elvis, and then this motherfucker ruins it for everybody, and we all get to hate him.
Yeah, well, it kind of is like the Elvis movie in the way in which he is foregrounded over what the journey is that Steve-O is going through.
Steve,
Because
Johnny Nebraska.
yeah, we don't hear enough about what Johnny Nebraska's actually going through.
No.
To sort of counter Albert Brooks's
Like, as soon
perspective,
as he
such that
starts-
and me watching the movie, I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. He's just a New York guy who loves baseball. But
When
Johnny Nebraska, he feels like he's in his like mid to late 20s. Like he's not a school student.
no, he's a grown.
He's a grown man living independently in Mexico who loves baseball, and he says
loves Mexican baseball.
he loves Mexican baseball
because he is a god.
which looks like a much more fun kind of baseball, as far as I'm concerned. American baseball looks
It's so serious.
dull as hell.
Cooler.
And he's like, "Do you want to play for the Yankees and get millions of dollars? It'll be great." And Brendan's like, "Yeah, okay." I know it gets worse.
I'm happy here, but okay.
And like, yeah, he's very mentally unwell, so he takes him to a psychiatrist and agrees to take him there for sessions every day.
And then we, as an
So
audience,
it's not.
don't get to see those sessions.
We don't get to see those
That's
sessions,
not
which
what
is
the
something we'll
story's
get
about.
to. But he's not locking him in a cage and letting him out for games. Like it's within the realms of understandable human behavior. I feel like,
but it's
even though it's still
framed negatively.
So, I mean, if you're wondering where this movie is going, if you haven't seen it,
Steve Nebraska is a fucking boss.
This movie is actually about mental health in sports. And here's my pitch for the Scout, all right? I'm like, okay, I've got this brilliant idea. It's going to be great. There's a manipulative, desperate scout, right, who will do anything just to sign someone to a contract. And he finds a young, vulnerable, impressionable, traumatized young man who he can sort of boulderize into being signed for the Yankees, which will bring him a tremendous income. And throughout the course of it, it becomes apparent that this guy is not ready for this pressure, that his mental health is deteriorating, that he has all these unresolved traumas in his past that are actually causing him to kind of disassociate and not be able to act properly in the real world. And rather than address that, this guy just keeps forcing him to the point where before the first game of his season and of his career, he threatens to basically commit suicide and or murder the scout that put him through all of this. Mm-hmm. This is a comedy, by the way. This is a slapstick comedy. Have you seen Encino Man? So we think we're going to get the guy from Encino Man to do a remarkably similar performance as this young traumatized baseball player.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and we're going to get noted comedy actor and also from Drive, Albert Einstein Brooks. Like, when you put it like that, you can see why it doesn't work.
It's so fucked up. It's proper fucked up.
That's not a comedy, lads. That's a great movie.
It could have been.
That's a great sort of Moneyball meets Foxcatcher movie. But
like 20 years in advance. Like in the early 90s, that would have been crazy.
Yeah, get some Steve Carell, some Jonah Hill, some comedy actors turn serious, stick them in there, add in like a Mark Ruffalo. You've got a great Oscar bait. Mention something about CTE and like early dementia from sports, and then bing bang boom.
You got it.
We're Oscar nominated.
But
this one, they're like, no, we'll do that, but it's funny.
Yeah.
We'll do that, but with a lot more Seinfeld energy the whole time.
We'll do that, but we've only ever made children's films, so we're going to try and put like adult themes into what is our children's film.
Yeah.
And change nothing else.
Yeah, this could be just the continuation of the Link saga. This could just be the Encino Man.
It could be.
He's wound up in Mexico. Yeah. Turns out he's good at baseball. Anyway, scene 2. Michael Rappaport. So coming back to the plot of the movie.
Yeah. Real good baseball player from hometown Iowa, wherever we're
He freaks
Christian
out.
guy.
He can't play. He's in the bathroom screaming that he needs the Lord.
And he
cringe.
Gets forced by the scout.
Yeah.
To get out onto the fucking pitch.
Yeah. Lane Smith is there. Perry from Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And also the dad from Son-in-Law. And yeah, the scout's saying all this terrible stuff, which I think was actually relatively funny. Like, God doesn't really care about people finishing school. Graduation ceremonies would be at night if they were important. Just absolute nonsense. Physically drags him out. And yeah, it's a big mess. So there's animosity between Lane Smith, who's Al Capolo's boss, and Al Capolo. And so he sends him to Mexico to find players as a punishment.
Yep. Rather than just firing him for finding a terrible player.
Yeah.
You send him to Mexico.
Yeah. And
is-
you know,
That's normal.
yeah, I guess.
Apparently the Yankees have a lot of money.
I just don't have any context for this. I'm like, what do scouts do? Do they literally just walk around the world looking?
Just take a bus to the next place.
Just
Look
go
watching
to
baseball.
Yeah, just go to towns and knock on people's doors. Is anyone here any good at baseball?
Where's the pitch?
I feel like there should be a more systematic approach to how we find these people.
Yeah, you would assume it'd be like local coaches would be sending videos of their players.
Yeah, like
Their star players. Like, this guy's really good.
I mean, maybe he's called ahead. We don't know.
Consider this.
And so we get a bit of this travelogue stuff, and it's like, oh, Mexico, what a crazy place! Don't they drive crazy and
Oh, they
stuff?
play baseball in the rain,
Yeah, they play baseball in the rain.
which actually looks like a lot more fun than regular baseball.
Yeah,
Because you get muddy.
almost any variation on actual baseball.
Basketball.
Yeah,
That's more fun than regular baseball.
yeah. Let's mix it up. I mean, I say this. I haven't never actually sat and properly watched baseball, but I do like cricket, and I feel like there's more similarities than people
There are
realize.
quite a few similarities
Yeah.
between baseball and cricket. It
Yeah.
takes the same amount of time.
Yeah,
Too much.
that's how you know it's good. You know it's a good sport when it goes on for longer than anyone wants it to.
Eventually, he winds up in a small town in Mexico
Minute 19.
and learns of Steve, Nebraska.
Steve, Nebraska. Mickey Nebraska.
Mickey
Mickey Tabasco.
He gets
There, I got it.
at his shitty hotel, and the dude's like, "Oh, you're here to see Steve, Nebraska?" He's like, "Who the hell is that?
He's like,
Who the hell is Adam Shadowchild?"
he's like, that's who the hell is that? That's Brendan Fraser, mate.
Exactly.
Have you seen Encino Man? He's kind of
It's
doing
basically the same thing, but he
doing a
can
lot of
talk
that.
this time.
Yeah. It's like,
He
what-
can talk.
yeah.
Picture that, but he can talk.
And this may be one of the best Brendan Fraser movie entrances we've had so far.
Oh God, yeah.
He gets carried in on a
On a throne.
throne, a dais.
Yeah.
Is that a
that works.
dais?
Yeah, he's got a.
Oh,
It's like he's carried in on a chair on a 4-poster bed.
yeah, like
Yeah.
medieval royalty style.
Mm-hmm.
He gets carried in. The people of this town, they love him.
The entire Mexican town loves this one white boy.
Yeah.
This one white boy who plays.
Well, I guess they all love baseball.
plays baseball.
And they love how he always knocks people over when he throws the ball at them. I would love that
They
as well.
love watching baseball where one team never scores and the other team always scores.
Yeah, actually,
Man, that'd be so entertaining. I wonder if they're going to get anything this time.
he would actually ruin it
Yeah,
for everyone.
baseball would be over.
He pitches a perfect game in the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
In this small town, they're like, well, if you're batting, like, what's the point? What am I even... Why are we... I think we need to not let him play.
It'd pick baseball up in the fact that other teams would develop ways to distract Steve Nebraska.
Yeah, true.
So, like, Steve Nebraska is clearly the pinnacle of baseball, and
Yeah.
other teams are developing like all of these chants or like
Yeah, just
dance moves or just surprising things to
Setting off a landmine next to the...
just
before
to
he
creep Steve
pitches.
Nebraska out,
Yeah, or just finding ways to injure him, probably.
or talk about his past trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do all these dad jokes or like, hey, have you spoke to your dad recently,
Yeah.
Steve?
How's your dad?
play baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, and he would, wouldn't he? The little bitch, always crying about stuff. Get over it. Mental health is very serious, and it should be treated much more seriously than it is in this film. But the flippant way it is treated in this film eventually makes Steve Nebraska start to seem like a little bit of a little bitch at a certain point, because I don't know what his traumas are, and
Yeah,
we
we're not
haven't
told.
really engaged with him on that level. At a certain point, I was like, "Oh, can you just fucking play the game?"
As soon as it was like revealed that he had all these past traumas, I was so keen for the emotional Brendan Fraser moments towards the end of the film where he gets to like
Yeah.
have his bro moment with Albert Brooks and like actually
Yeah.
break down and have a conflict take place.
Yeah,
Doesn't happen.
yeah. You know, I'm so good because I imagine the ball is my dad's head or something. You know.
Anything.
But also, and I mean, we can get to this later as well, but I also didn't care about like when it comes out that he's got trauma, and that's a real big problem. Like, yep, that is a problem for people. But the potential reveal of what the trauma was, whatever it is, it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it made me feel like. Did you ever see that TV show The Sinner?
No, I had no intention.
I despised it. I only saw the first series.
She kills people, and then it's revealed that she was doing it for a reason.
Yeah, it's like they called it a why done it, and there's lots of just, and I'm not a big plot holes. It's not like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, you love Lost.
But yeah, I love, I'm on the record loving Lost, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know how much I don't care about plot holes. But in this show, the plot literally, it just, like, functionally what happened as a result of the revelations does not make any sense. And the whole show is building up to what terrible thing happened to her that made her basically go into a temporary psychosis and commit this murder. And the whole time I'm like, I don't know, probably something really bad. And at the end, you find out what it was, and you're like, yeah, that was really bad. What's the story here?
Mm-hmm. It gives away the fact that something really bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
From the get-go, so it loses any sort of power.
If there's someone you don't know has a traumatic history that's been driving their actions, and then at the end it is revealed, you're like, oh, okay, that recontextualizes that person. If episode 1, you're like, this person clearly had terrible trauma happen to them that's affecting their actions, and then 10 episodes later, you're like, this is what it was, by the way. That reveals somewhat new information about this secondary character, but that's about it. It's just flat for me.
It would make I think it would be more emotionally or like entertaining if from the get-go you knew that 1 of 5 people committed a murder because of something terrible happening to them, and then you get to watch 10 episodes of those 5 people living their lives
and it's
going
like
through traumas or whatever it is.
Who's traumatized? I wonder who's traumatized. Who
actually committed the murder. You think all 5, any of them could have done anything.
Yeah, not to reinforce the idea that traumatized people murder people. That is not a one-to-one correlation. But in the context of murder mysteries, it could be quite good. But yeah, in this, I'm like, I was watching it, I was like, he's gone through stuff obviously really bad. Obviously really bad and everything. So bad that he's like amnesic to it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like sort of washed up on the beach in Mexico, like Link the caveman. Basically, he's like someone who doesn't even know what society is at this point. I was like, that needs to be something so bad. It's going to really fuck up this movie for them to have to sit down and say what it is. But whatever it is, it's not going to actually change anything about the stories that we're watching.
No.
I'm like, probably something to do with her dad or something.
Well, as soon as he loses Al in the airport when they get back to New York the first time, as soon as he loses him panicked, I'm like, okay, cool. So he's been abandoned by a father. And I assumed that would be a story point, that his father abandoned him in Mexico. And that's why he was in Mexico being great at baseball.
Yeah, I assume it's something like that.
But we don't fucking know.
It would have, we never find out what it is, which is stunning. Truly stunning, frankly. That the big problem of this is the fact that Brendan Fraser's character has terrible mental health problems, and we never get to find out what was the instigator of it.
Yeah.
But I'm not that interested in just the reveal of what the trauma is, but that it would be more interesting if that intersects somehow with Albert Brooks's character. Like Albert Brooks needs to have some sort of father shit going on for him.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's never wanted kids or whatever, kind of Sam Neill Jurassic Park situation.
Or his wife left him.
Yeah, his wife left him. He doesn't want family, blah blah blah. This guy becomes his family, something like that.
They had a miscarriage, so he always wanted kids, and now he's just turned off the idea because
introduce a miscarriage. These are all great things for comedy.
So good.
These are all great
comedy
narrative elements to introduce to your wacky slapstick baseball comedy. That's what I'm saying.
Imagine the Benchwarmers movie, but with like this level of trauma affecting all of those nerds.
Yeah. Everyone's in
like one of them was a school shooter because he was bullied so hard in high school.
But they're all just in a completely amnesic state for what it is they've been through and are just living in the moment. He's good at baseball and everything. Albert Brooks is like, oh my god, he's so good at baseball. He says, I found Kong. There's this King Kong motif going through.
I did not like that as a motif.
Well,
great film.
Great film.
Original Kong's great, yeah.
I think I don't mind the King Kong thing as a way to tie these two characters together. Now, King Kong doesn't work because everything about them is father and son.
Yeah.
No, or
King Kong is not a father-son story.
Because in King Kong, Albert Brooks is Jack Black, and King Kong is a big monkey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The problem with this is the big monkey is Brendan Fraser, and he can talk, and he's a full human. And in King Kong...
But in King Kong,
Jack...
King Kong's reason for coming to New York is because he was kidnapped, but he had other reasons emotionally for what he does and why he's powerful. Like, he has a love respect for Anne Darrow.
Yeah.
And like...
Well, yeah, that was my other big note when I got to the end of it, and there's all this King Kong stuff. And I realized, well, we need an Anne Darrow character.
It needs to be told to us that Albert Brooks' character does not understand the meaning of what King Kong is. He just thinks it's this big, powerful monkey that is found in a forest and brought to New York, and is like, I'm a monkey. Yeah. And he destroys a building. He's like, yes, that's what Kong is.
Have you seen the end of King Kong? You know, the guy who goes and finds Kong just like destroys New York, right? And then King Kong dies.
It's his favorite movie, but he always falls asleep like halfway through.
Yeah, very on brand for Al Capolo. Percolo. Don't know why I keep fucking that up. But yeah, so you need an Anne Darrow to just soften this situation a little bit. And that could either be a love interest for Nebraska or
the therapist.
Or the therapist is as a maternal character, as a Diane Wiest. Not West, as I'd thought for many years.
West is much more fun to say than Weast.
Yeah, Weast. Too close to yeast, isn't it?
Yeah. Anything close to yeast is not fun to say.
No, or B or C. I like a good amount of distance from yeast. Yep, that's all there is to say there. And look, and we'll get to the Weaster more later on. But yeah, the fact that it's a King Kong story, but it's just King Kong and the bloke who trapped him in the jungle, and none of the other people. But then at the end, he becomes a father to King Kong. Oh, God. That's a very different King Kong story.
It's like Bride of Kong, Son of Kong.
Yeah, well, yeah, Dad of Kong. This movie
Papa
is
of Kong.
Dad of Kong, but instead of the talent being smashing stuff, it's baseball. But spoiler alert, there's no baseball in it.
Yeah.
Oh
we
yeah,
we get to see him play baseball in Mexico.
That'd be the other part of my big
really
pitch.
great.
Like, oh, by the way, it's a comedy. Also, he never plays baseball. Is that fine?
I did want it to end with him having the little father moment and then being helicoptered down and just end on the throw of the first pitch and we'd see nothing.
That would have been lovely.
That would have been much more.
Because we've already won. Emotionally, we've won
Yeah,
and
because
concluded.
then it's clear that the movie's not about the baseball. It's about the mental issues and the fatherhood.
Yeah, instead he is just ludicrously good at baseball.
It ends with a montage of him being perfect at baseball.
Yeah.
He's the, if you're playing against like a baseball simulator and you just turn the simulator up real good.
Yeah.
Or like turn it up real bad so that your character is perfect.
Yeah.
If you play Wii Sports on the easiest possible mode and you're just getting strikes and strikes and strikes.
Yeah.
He's living that life.
Yeah. He's like
his Matrix simulation is he's got it set on easy.
He's like an AI. He's like AlphaGo, but it's like Alpha Baseball. You will never beat him.
He set it to story mode, which is one below easy.
And he hasn't even like played against good players before.
Never. He's played against just dudes in this town.
Those guys in that small town. It seems to be the only people he's ever played against.
Which I expected.
And maybe they're very talented.
I expected him to be just a generic good player.
Yeah.
When he got to New York, but he's just the Jesus of baseball.
That would have been a good point of conflict as well, wouldn't it?
He's the Jesus of baseball.
Maybe when you go to New York, it's a little bit difficult. No, it's fine. Our only problem is a purely internal and still mysterious conflict.
Yep.
Known only to Diane Wiest and not us.
She doesn't share with anybody.
Well, it's weird how...
Because she tries to share with Albert, But then he's like, I don't want to know about this.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible person.
Yes. I don't think you don't seem to understand.
I'm doing enough. He lives with me.
Yeah.
I'm doing enough.
I'm really trying to maintain plausible deniability here. He tells him he's going to take him to New York, takes Brendan out for lunch. Brendan, I feel like this is the first time Brendan looks like the adult Brendan that we know.
I think so.
He's got the hair. He's looking
He
good.
looks
I'm
great.
like, this is a grown-up guy. This is the Brendan we're going to be dealing with for a while, I think. He's pretty much in his George of the jungle
He's ready for
look.
George at this point.
He's
yeah.
ready for George. And yeah,
it's great.
His characterization is so strange because he's this sort of, and we've said it a bunch of times, that Encino Man, George of the Jungle, clueless guy.
It's like for this film particularly, he has flashes of moments where he's a 10-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
and then flashes of moments where he's a manipulative, like late teen,
Yeah.
and like calculating.
But it just like doesn't make sense as a person. I mean, he's like someone who has like a developmental delay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is someone
But it
with
comes and goes.
Yeah, this is someone with cognitive issues, and
The fact,
just like having childhood trauma that you bottle up and don't address doesn't turn you into this. It doesn't make you act like you're 5 when you're in your mid-20s sometimes.
yeah,
Whilst also being like presumably sexually mature and, you know, have a pretty good understanding of the world. But you also like to sing on a plane. Like his character is nonsense. That's part of the problem.
yeah, yeah. It is nonsense.
You know, he's not George of the Jungle. He's been living in Mexico. Like, he doesn't not know what anything is. You know, like he's not been in civilization. He's just not been in America. Not the same thing, guys. Newsflash, Americans.
It is a thing for Brendan Fraser characters, though, to be like written in as though they don't know anything about society and have to learn it.
Yeah, I can't believe he must have been exhausted from doing that.
Yeah, but
After
George
this,
is
then
the one
I
where
think
it
Blast
works.
from the Past is the other big one.
George works though.
George works.
It's such a good movie that you've seen before.
Well, yeah, because in that one he's literally Tarzan. So Tarzan can come in because he hasn't even had human contact.
Yeah.
This guy's just been in Mexico. It's not that crazy.
They clearly have baseball there.
They have baseball and
He
everything.
would know the rules.
Yeah.
Like he knows that there are hand signals. He just doesn't know what they mean. And I
Yeah.
love that that's a thing that they've put in. But they don't show him learning them. It's just at the end of the movie he knows that that they mean something.
Yeah. It's
I would
very
have loved a training montage.
It's very important in this that anything anyone learns or anytime they change, it's off screen.
That is.
On
Well, that's how
screen-
life works.
On screen is purely for yelling and slapstick elements.
And for Albert Brooks to ignore any sort of like signs.
Yes, most of the movie is Albert Brooks ignoring signs. In a situation built out of red flags.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
They go to New York.
Yeah.
He sings on the plane.
Yeah. We do this whole pointless bit where Lane Smith fires him. And he's like, oh, so I can take him to anyone. And he takes him back to Lane Smith and
Yeah,
gets
he goes
signed
to
back.
Yankee Stadium, pulls some strings, and gets a morning with other dudes to sort of like have an auction.
Yeah, other teams and stuff.
To make it seem like it's a big
managers.
thing. But then the Yankees just spend more money anyway, so it's still just the same actors. You don't need a new team.
Yeah. I mean, that really feels like something left over from a previous version of this.
I did notice that the Yankee game at the start of whatever his name is, the shit player, there was no one in that stadium. Like the stadium was empty for the game at the start because obviously you're not going to fill a stadium for your shitty opening scene. You fill a stadium for your closing scene with Brendan Fraser being badass at baseball. But your opening scene, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, yeah, you just shoot the scenes in the bathroom and do crowd sounds.
They shot it in an empty stadium and then put in cuts of the crowd going, yeah, which they would have filmed on the night that Brendan Fraser played.
Oh, right, okay. They didn't just do all the cardboard cutouts like they did during COVID. Remember that?
Someone's cat, Trump, RoboCop. You could pay to have anything in there.
Cujo.
The actual Cujo, though, not a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, he's still around. Yeah.
That's what Rabies does.
So he's doing all this caveman stuff. He's singing too loud on the plane. He's also still the hottest man in the world and has a little box of women's phone numbers.
Yeah.
Weird approach. Just throw them away. You're not calling them.
No,
Like,
but
why have a little box?
It's a memento to build up your ego further than it is.
He doesn't have an ego.
He clearly does. He has a box of phone numbers.
No, I think that's just like a weird little thing he does. He
Why
has
do I
no
have
sense
these?
of...
Why do people keep giving me their phone numbers?
Yeah, what do these numbers mean?
What do they want?
You have to understand, I have been living in Mexico.
I don't.
So I haven't used numbers for a long
If
time.
the box existed, but he couldn't read, and that's why the box exists, he's kept all the notes. I can't read. I don't know what this says. That's a
Yeah.
phone number, bruh.
I learned to read as a child, but I've had to black all those memories out so intensely.
You don't need to know why.
I can do numbers 1 to 5.
You, as the audience, don't need to know why.
And
I've
you
broken
never
any of
will.
that off. It's a secret.
And so yeah, and gets lost in the airport like a child. I read it. He's like incredibly handsome, but sort of asexual for a lot of the movie. You know, in that again in that kind of caveman-y way. And yeah, he's jumping around on the bed, but then he has nightmares.
Oh,
Terrible nightmares.
that make no
And
sense.
Albert looks at him. He's like, "It's probably fine."
Yeah, it goes back to fucking sleep.
Yeah.
What a tosser.
Isaac, she'll be right. Okay? She'll be right, mate.
That is the best way to look at anything in
That,
life. Someone who's living in your apartment, yeah.
Yeah, she'll be right.
She'd be fine.
Hey, he gives him the bed.
Yeah.
He takes the couch because he wants him to.
Well, he is also like 2 feet shorter.
True, and I guess he's hoping to get millions of dollars out of him.
He succeeds in that mission.
Yeah. So then he does his great tryout at the stadium. And this is some of our first cameos of all these real players. There's lots of real players in this. And you can just tell because they look like people.
Yeah.
What is it that quality people have when they're not an actor in a movie? And you're
Big
like,
eyes. It's just knowing to open your eyes a little bit more.
Oh, okay. But people just have normal eyes.
People have normal eyes if you're just living your life.
That's a cameo right there. So Yankees win $55 million over 4 years. Pretty good, I guess. And so he's going to start next year unless Yankees get into the World Series.
Yeah. And
Which
Brendan,
is not the
it's
world.
made that Brendan, his character's like, I'm not starting till next year.
Yeah.
But Albert Brooks is like, yeah, if they get into the fucking World Series, we'll play. Doesn't confirm that with Brendan at all.
Yeah, he sort of
just
says
says
that
it.
as a throwaway line because apparently the Yankees suck.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think at
They're
this
like
point in time, they're meant to suck.
They're the richest and worst team. And I don't know. Why doesn't he want to play? Like, I know it's nerve-wracking.
At that point in time, why does he not want to play? Because at that point in time, he's new to town, doesn't
Yeah.
understand, and is clearly he's been brought here to play baseball.
You love baseball.
Yeah.
You're having a great time. You've got a great new dad who's from Drive.
You could show him have his first game and just get nervous and suck, and then have the road to being the best at baseball.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, there's never anything to imply that you won't still be brilliant at it.
Yeah.
But
it'd be cool.
See, I could imagine him being freaked out by the trappings of fame, and like all the photographers and stuff. But then being on the pitch playing would be like your happy place.
Yeah.
You know, like that would be your sanctuary.
You could have like Happy Gilmore, who's amazing at golf.
Yeah.
And then Shooter McGavin just gets in his head, so he gets shit at golf for a little while. Have that. Have a negative influence somewhere where he gets bad at baseball for a little bit.
But see, Isaac, all of these suggestions would require this movie to
Showing baseball.
have some baseball in it.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was the thing we agreed that we weren't
And
going
rule
to have.
one of the scout brackets the baseball scout who does baseball.
Have as little baseball as possible.
Get that baseball fucking out of there, okay? Because
It's hard to film baseball.
we are paying for one stadium crowd scene, and that is it. I think they filmed a lot of that stuff in a real game. I think that's how they normally do it. But yeah, I mean, most obvious point in the world, there's no baseball. And he doesn't play baseball, doesn't get better or worse, doesn't have any baseball-related problems. It just becomes a therapy movie, but also with no therapy. What do we see in this? How do they fill an hour and 40...
We see Albert Brooks ignoring signs.
It's Albert Brooks ignoring signs and
that's what it is.
And slapstick, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. 1994's Albert Brooks ignores the negative signs.
Yeah.
And manipulates a kid.
There's so many obvious tropes you would just do.
Yep. And so the Yankees...
Have him walk around the city like Elf and like get mugged or something.
After Brendan Fraser's character, Steve Nebraska, picks up a photographer for taking too many photos of him.
Yeah.
They make an agreement with Albert Brooks that he's to get...
Got to
his
get a
player
doctor's note.
Medically ticked off by a mental professional just to say that he's a safe thing to put in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Which is something the Yankees would do.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a bit of an ad hoc system, but... Yeah, but that is the rule. You pick up a photographer and do a wrestling move on them in a press conference. You have to go to a
therapist for a little while.
You have to go to a therapist for a while. And, yeah...
So they go.
Al Pacolo, can't believe the doctor's a woman. Oh my god.
That took too long. It took way too long of him just like, I'm just looking at your things. Got any photos? Like just a little bit too far with you're a woman?
Yeah. But see, I didn't really understand all that because the first one was like, I can't believe you're a woman. But then all the stuff where he like wants to see her degrees.
I think it's just pushing the point that he doesn't believe that she's a woman and a psych, but it's like trying to do it subtly.
That's all and still woman
way
stuff.
Too far.
Yeah, it's really long and slow and weird. And again, just something else that makes him an irredeemable character in the audience's eyes. So,
yeah. Well, the audience is there for baseball, so they already hate the movie by this point because we haven't seen enough fucking baseball.
There's been very little baseball.
You see more baseball in The Sandlot.
So Diane Wiest arrives at minute 45.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously great. I would pay a lot of money to have Diane Wiest as a therapist. Not this character, just her.
She's got a lovely smile and her voice is very soothing.
That smile and voice, that's all I need.
Well, she took care of Edward Scissorhands, so she could take care of me.
Yeah, I tell her what's going on. She goes, yeah, done, cured. I'm good for another week. Thank you, Diane. That was great.
Thank you for listening to my problems.
You have a lovely maternal sort of caring energy that's great in a therapist and would probably lead to a very complex relationship to someone who's blacked out all memory of their parents intentionally. There's no mention of his mother. Like, that doesn't seem to occur to anyone. It's
not important in baseball.
It's like, I love that, like, we've no idea what his child is like. Everyone's assumption is, there was a dad. Dad definitely fucked him up. And look, maybe that's a fairly safe assumption. Yeah. But the mum was in there doing something.
But we don't even find out. Like, even at the end of the film, it's still not explained what happened.
Yeah, Nobody should do it in end credits. It was later revealed that his father killed his mother in a murder-suicide.
And he ran away to Mexico.
Yeah, Yeah, but before that, they holidayed to Mexico every year. And it was the place was happy because there was no numbers or words or indoors.
They were on a family holiday to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And then the father and mother were fighting, obviously, and they had a car crash. They died. Little kid, no idea what his name is. Just knows that the number plate said Nebraska. Like, the number plate was STV, and it was a Nebraska plate.
See, you need a better reason why he's in Mexico.
He needs to have a reason to be in Mexico, not just, I've been there for a few years.
People don't, I'm sure, you don't wind up in Mexico as the only white person in this small town playing baseball every day.
That's such a weird... The most famous person in this small town. People here know you by name, by sight.
Yeah, for miles around.
They talk about you.
There's a backstory here. And to not have explained it is, again...
Because they thought they'd get a sequel.
I think something like that must have been in there at some point.
They'd get a sequel.
The reveal is, he like woke up from a car accident that killed his parents.
It could be one of those 8 scripts.
His dad was
literally
drunk.
That film about this baseball player, like, finding and stuff.
Yeah.
But as soon as Albert Brooks or somebody was signed on to make it called The Scout, they changed the whole story, removed all of that, because it's just about this guy, not this guy.
Yeah. Well,
just bump up the Scout.
But see, that's weird.
Once John Candy passed on the role,
from my reading, from what I've read, my reading of the history would be my
Just
interpretation.
how I read it.
How I read this text.
The road to wisdom
and by
on this one.
text, I mean this
crystals have
this
told me,
Wikipedia page.
Oh,
The previous versions were all crazier comedies,
which would have been more entertaining.
and I think over time it got tied down more into this.
Oh yes, this
trauma
is such
stuff.
a tied down film.
Well, I think maybe they introduced this trauma background and stuff, but just the choice to put him in. Just why isn't it just a small American town?
Yeah, when he said Mexico,
don't get
at
too
first, and
hung
then
up
Albert
on
Brooks
this.
is like, why can't I just go to Canada or something? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
To make it Mexico, but the movie isn't about Mexico, and the character isn't Mexican.
Yeah, and he stays there he goes to Mexico for 10 minutes of the film.
Because that's a great movie of a scout traveling around a place where almost no one plays baseball, trying to find ways to find a great baseball player. That's the new strategy.
Or traveling around a place where soccer is the main sport.
Yeah.
And finding a soccer player to play baseball.
Yeah, or cricket.
Yeah.
You go to India to find the next big baseball player.
That's a film.
That must exist, surely.
It's got to.
Yeah, but just to go to Mexico for 10 minutes, find Brendan Fraser and bring him back and never say why he was there. His drunk, abusive father drove the family off a bridge in their car in a murder-suicide attempt. Brendan's the only one who survived. Had head injury. That's why he's so fucking weird. And that's why that's the trauma he's repressing. Bing, bang, boom, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's why he's really good at baseball.
And that's, because he beat his way out of the car with a bat.
Yeah. Well, in this, he's so good at baseball because he never thought about other things than...
So he hasn't got a thought in his head.
Yeah. Because he's not thinking about stuff. That's why he's really good at baseball.
Yeah. Which...
What?
Yeah.
Man, this is art.
Well,
So yeah, he goes to therapy. It works.
It works, question mark? Yeah.
There's
They finally get go, and
they go out to Tony Bennett.
Al Piccolo's he has to stay in the room, but Nebraska wants him in the room, but Diane Weiss is like, well, obviously I'm trying to do therapy. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So Nebraska's really bonded to him.
Well,
to the point where they
attached
have...
to him,
yeah, so they have... So Al is a form of support for him.
But Al doesn't know that. Because Al is oblivious to any sort of human interaction that would be healthy. Al is just there because this is of money. This is his product.
Money. Yeah.
And
yeah, I guess so.
And the movie doesn't know how to tell Al.
They're leading you into the reveal of what his trauma is so much as well. All the pictures, all the little Rorschach drawings or whatever that she's making him look at.
That's just
the zoom in on the dad's face.
Yes, the zoom in on every one of those pictures.
Yeah.
It zooms in on all of them.
Yeah. And now it's becoming a psychological thriller because you're looking for clues in the pictures of what's going to be the reveal.
And the fucking voiceover just starts. It's got a watermark. Just get that American Psycho voiceover as he inspects everything.
Yeah. And then just all for naught. And she's like, he definitely shouldn't play. He's a real mess, quite clearly. This is my favorite line of the whole movie. I think this was funny. She says he clearly harbors a great deal of anger towards his father. This might be a father figure that he wants to put a bullet through. And Al Piccola says, how does he feel about his uncles?
Oh yeah, that's a funny line.
And then he opens the door. He goes, hey, it's Uncle Al. That's fine. That's a legitimate way you could put a joke into a serious movie because the joke is that he's not taking it seriously.
Provided that you eventually take it seriously.
Provided that you follow through on some of the stuff you're setting out. But there was some good stuff here. I kind of like the way he's trying to get her to do the letter. He's sort of saying, I know he's got some problems, but this is his day in the sun. He loves baseball. Don't take this away from him.
But that is clearly Al. He doesn't give a fuck about the kid. He just wants that letter so the kid can play, so he gets his money.
I think he does give a fuck about the kid.
At that point, he didn't give one fuck.
No,
that point, this is just his meal ticket.
I don't even I can put my finger on it. Oh yeah, they should set up that he's heavily in debt or something as well. Yeah. Because otherwise, I don't understand why he's so desperate.
Well, because he's trying to find his Kong.
I know he's
Which
trying to find his
again,
Kong, but like,
fucking-
if you don't find your Kong, like, just keep looking. Like, why does this have to be the one? Be like, no, he needs to need money. That would add a lot more tension to it. I don't know, just something
Maybe
about
we
the
don't
performance.
understand how scouts work.
I definitely don't after watching this.
Yeah.
After something about the way Brooks performs it, I feel like he's. I think there's more. I think the negative effect he's having on Nebraska overall, I think it's more. It's not necessarily more, but that there's a big component of ignorance rather than malice to what he's doing.
Yeah, it is ignorance, but
He's
it's
just
still he's oblivious to
he's
any
just
sort of
this-
care. He does not care. He's just a meal ticket at this point in time.
I think yeah.
I read it as he doesn't care. There's no.
That's your reading.
Yes, my reading. It's that he doesn't have the ability to care about this person as a person.
I think
He's just a ball player.
I think he doesn't understand what trauma or mental health is, and he doesn't give a shit about it, which I think is subtly different to he doesn't care about the kid. I think he just genuinely thinks this isn't a big deal and we should be able to deal with it quickly. Because what counts is baseball.
Baseball is all that matters.
And I think that might be where the film is trying to situate him as well as their hero
But also
protagonist.
maybe because we don't watch enough baseball, we wouldn't know that baseball's all that matters.
True. Or sport in general, really. So he agrees to bring him for therapy every day. Steve's just sort of singing around, dancing at home like a little child might.
Yeah.
And they throw plates out the window at paparazzi.
By they, you mean just Steve?
Yeah, while Al refuses to close the window the whole
I
time.
know, it frustrated me.
So
He's yelling out, "Oh, if there's someone in here throwing plates, it's
There's,
not us.
there's nothing I can do
There's
about
somebody-
it.
Oh, the crazy person next door is throwing plates. Oh, I can't close it."
So he basically realizes they're going to have to do a press conference to sort of address the obviously escalating rumors and true reporting. They make up like a fake life for him,
Yep.
which Diane Wiest is not a fan of.
Yeah, she goes.
She's ropeable, mate.
For about 30 seconds.
Yeah. That did make me laugh as well. Like, he's like, if they ask about therapy, just do this, do this,
Say
do
it's
this.
me.
Gets up there. Any questions? What's going on with the therapy? Like, immediately. Why are you in therapy? What's the deal with the therapy going on there?
Yeah, because
There's a bit of a different time, isn't it?
Therapy, yeah.
Yeah. I guess in the 90s, they're like, you're going to therapy. Fucking nut job.
I mean, it's still like that. Yeah,
That's fine now. Now you're weird if you're not in therapy. No, you're
fucking nut job.
the outlier.
You're not in therapy?
Yeah.
Fucking nut job.
Someone's not in therapy, I'm more worried about them. I'm like, you need to tell your secrets to someone. Let it out. So yeah, then they go see Tony Bennett, R.I.P.
Tell your secrets to someone. It's such a great way of phrasing that.
Yeah.
Tell your secrets to someone.
You got to run those decisions by someone before you have to be out there living, just running wild. Tony Bennett's pretty good in this. I guess someone was mates with Tony Bennett, weren't they?
Tony Bennett loves baseball.
Yeah.
Wanted to be in a baseball movie.
Yeah.
Sad it was this one.
Steve sings Tony Bennett's final song. Tony does not take it well.
Yeah, Steve gets the whole crowd to sing the final song.
I'm like, come on, this is clearly someone with developmental issues. You know?
He's already a megastar, hasn't played a day of baseball. The whole city knows who he is.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, just based on his tryout,
Yeah.
which no one even saw happen.
Yeah, they just talked about it, said this is the best. He's the best baseball.
Yeah, he's trending.
He's baseball Jesus.
He's 1994 trending.
He's been in the paper.
And so we basically, and then there's more like
Yeah, they got that
rebelling.
one shot of Times Square with his face on a poster somewhere.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's how the city learns about him. Like
Mm-hmm.
Everybody goes to Times Square in New York every day.
You do. Yep, you
That's
have to.
how it works.
Yep,
If you
that's
live
what I
there,
did.
you
Yeah.
go to Times Square.
Yep, you have to. Yeah,
It's not for tourists; it's for New Yorkers.
yeah. It's like shaving for them.
They have to
Brush your
shave.
teeth, go to Times Square, get your coffee, go to work. Yeah. Well, no,
Eat-
I
eat
think that's
pizza.
that's just the central point that everyone spawns from in the morning, and
when
then
they
you
sign
go
in,
out.
and they sign in the morning. That's where you load in.
Yeah, that's where the fireplaces are that you appear in. Does Steve have a giant chocolate baseball bat?
Steve gets Steve. There they go out for that Tony Bennett night.
Yeah.
With a date that we never know who that is.
Yeah.
Steve chooses to go off with said date afterwards.
Yeah.
Yells at Albert Brooks because Albert Brooks is like, "No, we should get up because we've got to train in the morning."
Yeah, we get some rebellion.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And then Albert Brooks is doing laundry.
Like I did my first father.
When he gets back, and he brings him a chocolate baseball bat wrapped in alfoil.
Yeah, which is like an insane amount of chocolate.
That's
It's like a life-size baseball
Yeah.
bat. It's a column.
That's a month's worth of chocolate right there.
Yeah. And
It's a bat of chocolate.
and what's weird about this is
He's already
Yeah.
eaten half of it.
that he's eaten half of a chocolate baseball bat, yes. But that's a running theme that he just gorges himself on whatever he wants.
He's the Joey of this film.
Yeah, and well, I mean, he's just come back from Mexico, so Lord knows what he's been eating down there. Probably starving down there in that poor, godforsaken country where there's not even any numbers or anything.
Yeah, they don't even have baseball down.
They only have baseball in the rain. And Steve comes back in and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry about what I said before. I probably have some stuff to work out that I should probably address." Just like too advanced an insight for someone who has PTSD amnesia about their whole life to such a degree they're basically Tarzan. Like he shouldn't be able to come back in and go, "I'm sorry about that. Something,
I'm sorry.
it's probably something from my childhood that I probably need to pay more attention to." All right, well, good night.
I love laundry though.
Yeah, there's a running theme that he loves doing laundry. Whatever.
I mean, it's not even a running theme. They mention it here, and then they mention it at the end.
Okay, well, I'm being generous. 2 steps. It's a short run. If you do it fast, it's a run.
If you do it fast, it's just a jump.
Yeah. Okay.
You just jump.
All right. Okay. I concede. Around this point, they remember it's a baseball movie and they try to do some pitching practice. Al tries
In
to
the car park?
in a car park surrounded by cars. He hides behind a concrete column. This obviously does not work. The ball goes over and smashes a car. I do not know what Al thought was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. If we weren't having baseball in the film, why do you have that one training moment?
He's holding.
Like, you're not even going to film a training montage, which sports films require.
Yeah.
It's one of the tick boxes that you have to check off to have a sports film.
By law.
Is a training montage.
Yeah.
This film ain't got one.
No. But he doesn't need to train. He's a perfect...
I'm sure Gran Turismo has a training montage.
You bloody bet it does, mate. And people like hitting the steering wheel and going, "Damn it!" after they come screeching to a halt.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to see it.
Can't wait not to see it.
Can't wait. It's based on a true story, I've heard. And now there's just more of this. Like, Steve doesn't want to pitch. He doesn't feel like doing baseball.
Yeah, that's what therapy's doing to him, because therapy's evil.
No, but he already didn't want to, because as soon as he gets to New York, he's like, "Yeah, but I'm not playing baseball anytime soon, am I? I know it's the thing I love and the only thing I'm any good at in my whole life, but I'm not doing it, am I? Now that I'm here in New York and
I just want money.
Now that I'm rich and famous and everything's going great for me, I don't have to do any baseball, do I?" And whatever. The Yankees win the pennant. Enough said.
What's the pennant?
That, Isaac, that's when you win the Major League Baseball league that you are in.
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
enables you to get to the World Series.
Wow.
I looked it up. Pennant is an old-timey word for flag.
Oh.
So it's something they used to do with flags. But I didn't look it up in detail, clearly.
So patriotic.
something to do with flags, ...
Wow.
Yeah.
Baseball.
We get Diane Wiest again. Apparently Steve's making significant improvement, but we haven't seen any of it, and we're not gonna.
She's very expensive to hire, so they've got her for 3 days.
And then, kind of out of nowhere, it's the finale of the movie. And it's the first game.
It's out of nowhere, but it's also the right amount of time to be the end of this film.
Well, yeah.
It's an hour and 41 minutes long.
Yeah.
That's a proper film length.
I don't...
Yeah, but we get here for
there's
nothing.
Looking at it now, there's a missing act, isn't there?
Uh-huh.
There's the act.
Yeah, it's
there's
the
act
two
where,
montages of therapy and training.
There's the act. Yeah, there's the act. in this movie about therapy and baseball, we missed the therapy and baseball act, where both those things. There's the scouting act.
Uh-huh.
There's the arrival to New York, becoming famous act.
Yep.
There's the learning about myself and then learning about baseball act, and then there's the win baseball, be good at baseball act.
There's not even. You don't even get to see the learning about myself act.
That's the one.
That's the one we're
That's
missing.
the therapy and baseball act.
Yeah.
That's missing.
Yeah. That's the deleted scenes.
Yeah, that's the deleted pivotal sequence. So it's the first game of the World Series. Oh my God.
It's happening. The Yankees are in there.
Steve is freaking out. Like
because he doesn't know how to play baseball.
Bitch.
You know why? Because they didn't have a montage.
He hasn't trained. He tries to the fact that Diane Wiest isn't in this whole bit, I think, is crazy.
It's also crazy that at this point,
she's the mom.
After that pivotal scene where we see him go to therapy and train, and like they get close together, it weirds me out so much that Albert puts him in the dressing room and fucks off. The father figure just leaves him down there and go, I'm going to go up with the rich guys. I'm going to schmooze with the fucking bigwigs, bruh.
Yeah, well, he's just clueless.
Because he's a dickhead.
Yeah, all right. We have established that you have a very low opinion
I do.
Mr. Piccolo. But yeah, you would think she would play a pivotal role. And the fact that he's explicitly calling her, I'm like, she's the third important character. Mm-hmm. We really need her to be in
she's
this more.
She's the 3 scene third.
Yeah.
She'd be third.
She would have
build.
been a big part of that missing sequence. Yeah. Tony Bennett comes back to sing the national anthem and is a real bitch about what happened before.
As when he said that, I thought because we were shown that Brendan Fraser doesn't understand social cues, I assumed he was just going to start singing the national anthem.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know the words, but yeah, sure.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? I want to say sweeping.
I know the words.
Oh.
Yeah. Were we singing the whole thing?
No, I was just singing what I knew.
Oh, okay.
Land of the free and the home of the brave, of the baseball, and the land
that's the
of the freedom and the people of the.
There is a video somewhere of some famous singer not knowing the words when she sang it at like the Super Bowl or something.
Well, yeah, you always assume you know them. It's only when push comes to shove.
When you got to sing it at the first game of the World Series.
Yeah, and she just made the very understandable mistake of not running it through her head once before ahead of time.
Just picking a key the night of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to play. All right, it's in A. Let's go.
That's all I need. I can sing any song if I know the key.
Oh, say, oh, say, oh, say, can you say
we
what's
don't
so
do
say about
racism
baseball
anymore. Everything's fine.
This song's about bombs, which is what our country is good at.
But it's always justified.
The national anthem is about war. It's about the flag surviving a battle.
Yeah, all the good ones are.
Oh, badass.
Nations are forged in war.
Our nation is girt by sea.
It is, isn't it?
That's what our song's all about.
I wish they'd get
We all live here and just girt by some seas.
I mean, like...
Girt, man.
Yeah, we just got here, Isaac. That's how that story went down.
That's what the national anthem says. We all live here.
Look, we're here. There's sea all around us. It's a nice place.
I am, you are. We are Australia.
Australia, yeah. And I still call Australia home. Tie a kangaroo down.
K-san.
Big red car. And that's the Australian... that's the Australian national anthem, basically.
I haven't heard Time Kangaroo Down in so long. I have to listen to that.
Yeah, all right.
After. We've got to play baseball first.
Why is someone asking someone else to tie their kangaroo down?
Sport.
Why am I tying it down? Why are we tying it? Let it go. What are you doing with it? Either kill it and eat it or let it go.
Oh, no, it's because he's going away. The song frames it that he's leaving, so he's asking mates to take care of his animals or like tan me hide when I'm dead, Fred. I think he's being hung.
Oh, yeah.
There is a story in that song.
Most Australian songs, when you look into them, are about a
Bushrangers
lone
being
person dying. Like Waltzing Matilda.
I'm just going to drown myself in this little billabong here.
Most of our national songs are about dying alone in the outback, which is very much how...
That's how most Australians perish, actually.
That's how... yeah, to this day. It's
Famously.
Famously. Yeah. It's the last stage of an Australian's life. When you're no longer useful, you just have to walk into the desert. Never heard from again.
I prefer that to drop bears. That's a much better myth.
Yeah.
Once you've served your purpose, you just disappear and become one with the country.
Mm-hmm. Midsummer style.
Exactly.
Just off a cliff into a billabong.
Nice. Where your ghost may be heard as people pass by the billabong.
Okay. J.K. Simmons is there.
I loved that J.K. Simmons got a line.
Random 5 seconds of J.K. Simmons.
Is this
or
pre-J.K. Simmons doing anything else?
Or Sexy Santa Claus, as he's soon to be known.
I'm so keen for that.
Yeah.
Did you watch Violent Night with David Arbor?
We've talked about it
It's so
many
good.
times. I'm looking forward to Christmas. Let's do it again. Let's have a look. I'm scrolling.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is his second film credit.
Oh, fuck yes. We've started the J.K. Simmons
Yeah.
podcast.
J.K. Simmons is there
Oh, I loved seeing J.K. Simmons for 5 seconds.
for 5 seconds. That's all you need. And yeah, very early J.K. Simmons.
Already in character. Like, perfect. He looked like he belonged there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now we've begun this podcast of the J.K. Simmons
Yep.
filmography.
So I thought this was going to be a problem, that Steve walks out during the national anthem.
Yeah, I thought that would be a fucking
But-
terrible thing for New York.
I guess everyone was a bit more chill about it in those days. So that's not a problem. Everyone's like, oh yeah, this is a chill time to leave because nothing's really happening. You cannot be there during the national anthem. And he's just freaking out. Because we can't keep saying it, because we don't know what his deal is. We don't know what the character's deal is. This is just like plain boring, just nerves. Like, I'm nervous about doing baseball.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of empty.
Which would have been fine if that was the issue from the get-go.
Before the training montage.
Yes.
When he got his mojo back.
If we got to see him try one game, get really nervous, suck at it, go through training montage, this game goes to start, oh, I'm still nervous.
Yeah.
Then they have a chat. He's like, okay, I'll go play baseball now.
Yeah. He climbs up on the roof, which people keep calling the roof, which was getting to me.
That's cool.
Multiple actors say,
Say rough.
what's he doing on the roof? Who are you? Are you Schmidt from New Girl? Al gets
That's
up
how
there.
New Yorkers say it.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Al,
I'm walking on the roof.
They would never do anything that uncool. Al gets up there to talk to him. Also arranges for a helicopter.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Because the owner of the Yankees definitely has a chopper.
Yeah. Well, there'd be a chopper around.
It's New York.
And he's like, oh, I'll play some other time. Because he's acting like a little child, but doesn't formally have a diagnosis that would justify that. That's what makes him just seem like a little bitch at this point. I'm like, grow up. Why are you talking this way?
Yeah.
And yeah, then things really... Al tries yelling at him again. Shit really escalates. And he says, if you don't stop yelling at me, Mr. Piccolo, I'm going to throw you off this fucking roof. Good F-bomb. Good choice of where to use it.
But also...
And I was like, I did everything for you. This is how you repay me? And then finally, after being one note for the last hour and a half, we get a second note for the Al Piccolo character. And he steps up and does a little bit of good dadding.
Mm-hmm.
Where he says, okay, fine. Like, he gives up. The thing he's been trying to do the whole movie. It's very zen in that way. It's only when he gives up on achieving his goal that he can achieve it.
Yeah.
It's only when he lets it go. He says, "Fine, this is your life. Do what you want." You know, it's just baseball, basically. This should be in more direct response to something that Diane Weiss told him.
Yeah.
He should have gotten advice
Diane
from her.
Weiss should be on that roof as well.
He should have had a moment of realization, and he recalls that now and uses what he has learned in the course of the movie to navigate the situation differently to how he's normally navigating them. And he stops trying to do a con, and he just goes, "Okay, fine, it's your life." And then
realization
immediately,
that if we lose, it's not too bad. Half the guys down there lose every time.
yeah, no shit. What do you think has been happening this whole time, Steve? You are really annoying me now.
He's so good at baseball, though.
But they take him down on the helicopter because King Kong wouldn't take the stairs.
Oh, God.
No, he said he'd climb a building much like he would and then fall from it and die. Then Steve does the best baseball you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, we get a montage of baseball.
We finally get a montage. It's so over the top. It's the best game anyone's had in the history of the sport.
I do love the shot, though, of him pitching and taking the catcher out, like rolling the catcher back.
Yeah.
They do that a few times in the film. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun, stupid baseball.
Yeah, true. It does the best baseball ever. This is over the rainbow. Everyone celebrates. Al Piccolo nods sagely. Steve Nebraska smiles. Freeze frame.
Mm-hmm.
How many freeze frame endings have we had? We've had a couple.
Well, it is the early 90s.
Yeah, I know. So
it's the time for it.
We're going to lose them soon.
I hope.
And credits.
I'm excited about those.
And that's The Scout. So I think I've said everything I needed to say.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah.
Like, it was fun-ish in parts.
I mean, it was funnish in parts,
but it was also shit.
Yeah.
I think for Brendan to be such a good actor, and we've seen that, this script didn't allow him to do that.
No, I don't know if he felt like he had a clear idea of what the character's deal was, but yeah, it's just all over the place. I think all the problems are contained in the poster / VHS cover.
Albert Brooks' face, and then in the background is Brendan.
Well, it's just nothing. It's just Albert Brooks doing praying hands. And I hope there's baseball. And then it's just Brendan in a baseball outfit looking at the camera like, which is just blank.
But he's ready to throw, though, isn't he?
He's just holding
his leg up, ready to pitch.
And the tagline is he was praying for a miracle. What he got was Steve Nebraska. What is what?
I mean, that sounds like a better film.
Yeah, but I mean, Steve Nebraska is a miracle.
Yeah, but it's also a little bit weird and crazy, and he turns his life upside down.
Yeah, he's kooky,
Oh.
but obviously for really serious reasons that are too dark to even say on screen. His father, yeah, not saying what it is makes you imagine something so much worse as well.
When more than likely he got lost. He got lost as a kid.
Yeah, or
they've been finding. He got kidnapped.
Or his parents. Yeah, his
Imagine
parents.
that he got kidnapped for ransom money by a cartel somewhere in Mexico, and then nothing happened. So they're like, okay,
They just never paid it.
Just amalgamate this kid into their lives. Like, you want to play some baseball, bud?
Yeah.
Steve, you don't want to go back to that family. They did not care about you at all. We weren't even reported to the police. It's fucked. You should actually hate them. It'd be better if you hated them.
Yeah.
You could play better baseball that way.
If you can hate your family, that's normally best.
Or it would have been cool if Steve introduced baseball to the town. If they'd never had baseball.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
All that. I mean, yeah, I don't know how prevalent baseball is in Mexico, but...
Well, it's not overly prevalent anywhere but the US, right?
Yeah,
they
surely.
play it elsewhere.
It's weird, isn't it?
But
how
it's not like
completely,
anyone else's national sport
yeah, how it's completely failed to permeate anywhere else.
in a big way.
Like anyone,
Like there are local teams that play baseball here.
yeah,
Like you
but
can,
like you
but
hear
it's like-
about Australians playing baseball, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, mate? Get it together.
Like I know that the Japanese team's pretty good, and like
Yeah,
that's
actually,
great.
I've heard, yeah, Japan do it a bit, but
They still call the American Championship the World Series,
yeah, I know,
and that's
so
weird as fuck.
American.
It's so lame.
Yeah, it's a classic Eddie Izzard line. It's like you guys have the World Series and America's won every year. That's crazy, isn't it? You've won every year. You've won the World Series. What are the chances of that? Yeah, it's such a strange choice to not do any baseball because baseball is like the best sport for cinema.
It's the easiest sport.
We've talked
to
about this
film.
before. I think we talked about this when we were talking about Brenton's cricket movie, Save Your Legs, and how there's a lot of overlap between cricket and baseball in just the sport, but also in terms of their benefits of being covered in a movie. Like your players are all separated out. There's not chaotic. People move in predefined
It'd
ways.
be easy to set up things to happen repeated times to get shots and shots.
Yeah.
Like you can just have a dude run to this base.
Yeah,
That's easy.
This is there's a big video essay by Patrick Willems on this very topic about how baseball's the best
Cinema sport.
cinema sport. Yeah, people's faces aren't covered. Mm-hmm. It's about the team working together, but also each individual gets their moment, either batting or pitching. They all get to hang out in the dugout and
Be
have
able to watch the
hangout
game
time.
clearly.
And it's so easy to understand what's going on. Like after the pitch, there's like one of two sounds, and just from that sound, you know what's happened
Yeah.
without even seeing
Either
what's
a
happened.
Tink or a
Either tink or a funk, yeah. and then to just not really put it in until the end when it's kind of when emotionally the film is over.
yeah. We had our chat beforehand.
It's
This is
completely
just a
incidental
gift.
that he's actually still great.
They put it in so that they're like, "Thank you for sitting through that. Have a montage."
Yeah, I'm like,
Look,
well,
this
thanks
is
fucking finally.
Perfect baseball. Also, they never say the word "perfect game."
Don't they?
No, he pitches a perfect game.
Yeah.
but it's not said,
Okay.
which weirds me out.
Well,
I know you're not
Yeah.
supposed to say it while it's happening
No,
until
but
it happens.
at the end,
But
you'd
at the
have to be
end,
like,
The commentators will be like,
they're
"Oh,
like,
what the fuck?"
yeah, that's what.
They'd lose their shit.
Yeah.
They would like properly lose. People would be crying
Yeah.
in that stadium.
Yes.
People would be weeping.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
You find your your literal
just-
baseball Jesus comes.
He's broken the game. That's the point. That's the problem. He's too good. I think the other missed backstory here is I think secretly everyone in that small Mexican town is as good as he is, and that's how he's gotten so
Oh,
good.
that'd be amazing.
And Al Piccolo's missed out on signing another 20 guys.
a team
Yeah, just
of people.
just wholesale replace the Yankees with these guys. Get them green cards. It's fine. Get them in. So,
yeah.
we don't score Brendan's movies. We rank them. We're a ranking podcast. We rank them from our most favorite to our least preferred.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
This is,
It's not our least preferred,
but it's not our
but
favorite.
it is nowhere near.
I'm
going to
start at the top and work my way down.
I think
So
that's the best place.
at
to
the
go.
top of the list at the moment, kind of crazy, is still Presumed Guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stand by it for now.
Yeah. Then With Honors, then School Ties, then Son-in-Law, and In the Army Now. Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Then Airheads.
I think we're getting close.
Yeah, is this...
I do prefer Airheads to this, though. I would watch Airheads again before I watch this.
Yeah. Airheads is also chaos, but I don't know, it's just got more energy to it. Encino Man. Sorry, everyone. Encino is 7th out of 11 at the moment.
It's about to be 9th.
I don't know.
Actually, I prefer Encino
I think
Man.
Encino Man's got more life to it.
Yeah. And it's better Brendan, I think.
It's yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, because this is just Encino Man, but with words.
This is yes.
But
And
those
turns
words
out-
aren't great.
Turns out it's not better.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's just Encino Man, but they've translated it,
Yeah.
and it turns out they can't write dialogue for a caveman.
And then it's $20.
This is
There's some great stuff in $20.
that
But
one bit in $20 is great
I feel 20. Why is $20 so low on this
because
list?
the rest of the movie was shit. It's just the Steve Buscemi and Christopher Lloyd
I
bit
don't
that we
know if-
love.
I don't know if the rest of it was shit. It was just kind of boring.
Pretty shit too. Well, this is also boring.
This was boring. I didn't feel like $20 was bad. It was just something like I didn't really care about.
Just like the Scout.
If you like,
What's under $20?
Child of Darkness, Child of Light.
Okay, let's put it between those two. Put it between those two. Oh, is Child of Darkness, Child of Light better?
Is it below $20?
I think we have to put it above $20
Yeah.
simply for the fact that we get much more Brendan in this.
We get much more Brendan, and
And the Brendan we do get is better than the $20 Brendan we got.
it's in service of nothing, but there is like proper grown-up acting happening.
Yeah.
And there's a lot I like about Albert Brooks's performance. And the
Same.
character he's created, like I could watch this character do some really interesting stuff with his back against the wall, in debt, being devious, try and achieving
if
goals.
it was a proper comedy movie.
But not being a weird dad to Tarzan.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
No.
Traumatized Tarzan.
Yes.
Because Tarzan's kind of chill,
Traumazan.
right? Yeah, Traumazan.
Traumazan.
We found it. Oh, we snuck that in.
Ask your doctor about Traumazan. Ask your doctor if Traumazan is right for you.
Okay. What's this movie called? The Scout. Scout is 8 out of 12. Now, much more important ranking, which of all the Brendans would win in a fight?
Baseball Jesus.
Where would Baseball Jesus, where would Traumazan come on the list of... So at the moment, it's being topped by the number one Link Caveman in the Army now. I don't think this guy's getting anywhere near that. Although this guy's very strong.
He's clearly very strong. If you
This
can find
guy-
a rock,
Yeah.
he's also got perfect aim.
The real question is, does he have a baseball bat in this fight? I think he probably does.
I think so. We've given
Because
Link
he
from
is-
the army a gun.
No,
correct?
we didn't.
He's got a gun though.
Actually, we did give him a gun. He can't have a gun.
Why not?
Just
He's in the
shoot
army
everyone.
now. He's in the army now. Though.
He's in the army now, though, isn't he? And he has a gun in his scene.
They all have. That's
Okay.
notoriously
This guy has a baseball
what
bat.
people in the army have are guns.
So
If he has access to a baseball bat and foreseeably rocks,
he's beating Encino Man.
he's beaten the rest of them.
You think he's the new number one?
He's baseball Jesus.
Yeah.
If we give him a bat and something to throw, something to pitch.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't get to see him catch anything in this movie. Maybe he's not perfect at baseball. He can pitch, he can bat.
True.
What
can,
else?
Can he do that other thing they do in the game?
Can he run in a
Field?
straight line for like 40 meters? And can he catch things?
Well, he does in this because he gets a home run, doesn't he?
No, but that's a home run. You just walk around the line. You don't have
Well,
to
he
run
jogs. He jogs it.
It. Yeah, but that's not fast. Maybe he can't.
Maybe
he can't run.
he's slow.
That's why he's perfect at everything else. He never has to get to a base.
Even Traumazan, even with a baseball bat, I don't think he's beating in the army now with a gun.
You'd only ever put him in to bat though. Just back on baseball. He'd
Yeah,
never
sorry.
bat first.
I'm trying to stay focused on our important task.
He'd only ever bat either last or mid of the pack because you'd need load bases beforehand.
Okay.
And then he gets his home run, so everybody gets their runs at the same time.
All right. Take your word for it, mate.
The maths.
Yeah. Okay.
Baseball. Jesus.
Yeah. See, people might have thought we don't know anything about baseball.
We do now.
Put those rumors to bed.
This movie taught us all we need to know about baseball.
So let's say this guy's second.
Last. Second first.
Yeah. Why?
He's second first.
See, yeah, he's second first. He's tied for first. The Scout. Brackets. Traumazan. / Baseball Jesus.
Ask your doctor if Traumazan is right for you.
And that's The Scout.
May contain traces of real trauma.
Yeah. But we'll never tell you what they are. Next time, something a little bit interesting. This is our next episode. This is going to mark us out from the other Brenton Fraser cultural contributors because they have not covered this. And it's the first piece of physical media I've had to require for the Brenton Fraser filmography. He's in an episode of this like limited series of 3 episodes of a series called Perfect Crimes. Also featuring Christopher Lloyd and Danny Glover. And Brendan Fraser stars in the episode entitled Professional Man.
Stars?
Well, he's first billed.
Holy shit.
I think he plays Johnny Lamb, who's living a double life right on the razor's edge. Apparently. It's 30 minutes long, so we might need to do something else as well. But that's what we're doing next.
Cool.
Yeah. That's all I'll say about that for now.
Are we going to watch it together?
Yeah, probably should.
I think that could be fun.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, everyone. Check us out on social media. Exceptional Pod on Twitter. Exceptional Thieves on Instagram. S. Brookfield on TikTok. That's for me.
Nice.
And tell your friends. If you know... I mean, now that we're known in the Brendan Fraser fan community, word of mouth is very important. So please keep that. Please keep that rolling.
Get those keyboards out and type about us.
Yeah, get your keyboard out of the drawer you keep it in to prevent dust. Mm-hmm. And just start messaging people that you barely know. Facebook friends from when you went to Greece 10 years ago.
Take off your keyboard sleeve.
Yeah.
That your grandmother knitted for you.
Yeah, because it's time for weekly keyboard time. And I think that's everything. Thanks for listening. We will be back. Or what is it? Listen to our next...
Join us next time.
No, because that's the problem one.
Ah, yes. Join us next episode?
Join us on our next episode for more exceptional theft of your time.